Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And tonight, we're going to talk about everybody's favorite subject, rumors. There are rumors that Sony is redesigning the PS5 for this will be the fourth time. They're basically going to supposedly rumored to come out with a basically detachable disk drive version. From what I'm able to see from this, what they consider a credible source leaker, that the next version of PS5, which they're basically dubbing the Chassis D, is going to have basically a USB external detachable drive. So it's supposed to be able to give Sony the ability to create one console rather than two, and basically sell it with or without the disc. Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, really, I don't know, Sony has a problem, and the problem is that everybody wants one, and they're just not available for the PS5. That's just the nature of the beast. There's starting to be a lot more Xboxes, even the Series X available, than there are people who want to buy them. Even here in the US, where Xbox is more popular than Sony. So I don't. Sony is saying this is going to help them come to market quicker with consoles and things like that, which I don't necessarily know if I believe that. I mean, they can't keep diskless or disc versions on the shelf, so I don't know how redesigning and retooling their manufacturing, I guess, instead of splitting their shifts between half one way and half the other, or I don't even think it's half. I think it's like 75% of all PlayStations that are created right now are the disc versions, and the diskless is like a smaller fraction of that because there's never as many diskless versions coming out when they're basically having a release or a massive influx of consoles. So from what I'm being told is that, or from what I'm reading and understanding, is that basically it's just going to be a USB attachable external drive, which I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, because the PS5 is already large, even if you get the diskless version, and now you're going to tell me I have to put up more real estate somewhere to put up a external hard drive somewhere. And it's probably going to have a weird ass orientation too, where I have to keep it flat or something. I don't know. It's, hopefully they're not that dumb, and they basically where I put it sideways or flat or whatever. But I don't know. So like I said, the rumor is that this is called Chassis D, which is they're getting rid of the other chassis, and they'll only have one D chassis, which will basically be the diskless or disc. So the question I always have is, how is Sony going to price this? Because right now the diskless is $400 and the disc is $500. So ultimately, they're basically saying that external hard drive is worth $100, really, right? Because if they're going to charge me $450 for this chassis sans disc, what the hell? I want the $50 cheaper diskless version. That's what I would want. But, that's what myself wants. What about you, Shane? What do you think about Sony coming out with the new D chassis?
I got a D for them, and they can suck
or
it.
No D.
Yeah, it's a load of shit. Pardon my language. It's a load of doo doo. It's a scheme. One, don't forget, they're also raising prices on their consoles in a lot of countries. Remember that. So, they're definitely going to raise the price to probably $450 for the diskless version, and then they'll probably charge you $50 to $100 for the disk drive, maybe more. The disk drive on that thing is essentially probably just going to be a key. It'll read it, install it, and that's you'll just have to have it in there just to turn the key basically so you can play your game. I'm not a big tech guy, so you guys definitely correct me if I'm thinking wrong here, but that's essentially the way the 360 worked. 360, you could install the game, but you still had to have the game in, which just basically was a key, turn the game on so you could play it, even if it's installed on your hard drive. But it's a load of crap, because what they're going to do is they're going to make all these diskless versions, and then they're going to make these drives, and then they're going to just get rid of the drives. So you were stuck buying the diskless version, and you were stuck buying the digital games, and you're stuck buying them only through Sony, and you're stuck buying them at those BS prices. You're stuck at the $70 price point, then you're going to get stuck at the 80. They're not going to have sales like they used to. it, Sony has become so anti-consumer. I mean, it's almost like they hate their own fan base, and their own fan base is just, oh yes, daddy. It's ridiculous. I think it's a load of crap. I think the whole thing is a scheme to get rid of the disk drive and go straight digital only. I really do believe that. There was a lot of hype. Of course, there's always hype when a new console is talked about. The last few especially, that this is the decade of going diskless. It didn't happen. Everybody put out a different SKU. Microsoft, they went a little different. They put a less powerful machine that's digital, but it's $200 cheaper, than their Series X is to the S. So I this is the kind of crap that scares me. I love Sony product. The PlayStation 5 is a fantastic console. Their first party is top of the line, but they're just an awful company anymore, and it breaks my heart because when Sony or Microsoft was screwing around and getting all high and mighty and trying to do some of the exact same things that Sony does, everybody called them out. Microsoft did a 180. They flipped the script, and Sony's doing the exact same thing now. They're just boning the customer base. I don't see this as any more than a scam. I really do. If it is true, now granted, it is a rumor, not like the rumor we have in town where the girls get naked. This is a different rumor. So hopefully this one is not true. I pray this is not true because it just goes to show you how low Sony is willing to go to make profit. Because that's all this says. This is just about getting rid of the discs and just Sony monopolizing on the game sales end of it. There's my horse. I'm gonna jump off of it. Nick, what do you think?
All right, we'll jump on the horse. Yeah, thinking about what you said, I agree. That could definitely be the route, and that makes a lot of sense, right? I'm thinking that the diskless, the digital version, right, the diskless version will still be a $400 offer. But I think the detachable disc version will be $550, and the disc drive on its own will be $150. Basically, trying to, and exactly what Shane was saying, trying to make consumers basically buy the diskless version, thinking, okay, because a lot of budget consumers are going to think, okay, I'm going to buy the diskless version, and then I'll buy this detachable drive later. But that later never comes, right? They want to, but it never comes. For some, it will, but for some, they'll be like, oh, well, and then just kind of push it out. And then, it's basically, then they'll see, okay, not a lot of people are buying these, just to kind of up that price. So where the disk drive version is not the version that people want, because now it's so out of the price range. I can get a $400 one, and then I can buy the disk drive later on. It's kind of like the Xbox Series X Core controller, right? That's the same concept there, where they're like, okay, we'll give you this, but if you want all the bells and whistles, you need to spend $10 more in Microsoft's case, right? It's $60 for the components. And that makes it a $10 more expensive than the Series 2 is, right? If you buy them separately. So that, I think in this case, Sony would go the same route, where it's a separate buy. If you may buy them separately, it's going to be more expensive for you. If you buy the elite version or the premium version, it's still going to be expensive. So a lot of people are going to say, well, I want a PlayStation, and Patrick's right. At this point in time, like all the bundles and all the stuff that you see online of people getting PlayStations, it's never the diskless version. I mean, I even saw an ad for GameStop. They were going to get in bundles like here in the next couple of days, and they're all the disc version, right? You don't ever see the diskless version. So this is a way for them to say there's only one SKU. That one SKU is the digital version. And, we're basically going to get rid of in the long term, the disk drive, right? And I think that's exactly right. They already have their ecosystem. They already have the store where you can only buy the digital games from them, right? You can't go out and buy a card or buy the digital versions of those games from any other stores online. So yeah, you have this one ecosystem where you buy and sell through that, and that's it, right? They're the one-stop shop for everything. And it is anti-consumer. We've seen Sony going in a lot of anti-consumer directions, and this might be, again, it's rumor, speculation, an insider, excuse me, the trusted insider, supposedly, has gathered this information. And so I could definitely see it being a thing. I mean, we won't know. It's supposed to come out in sometime in 2023 is what they're reporting. So we'll see what this comes to be, but that could very well be what it is. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, because they're basically this trusted source that they are referencing is basically said that Sony plans to discontinue all the other chassis and only move forward with the D chassis. So I kind of can see that, I can, now that you mentioned, I could kind of see that they would basically produce as many of the discs as maybe they did the diskless versions of the PS5, right? And just be like, oh, there's a shortage, we can't make them fast enough due to whatever line of BS they want to basically spin. And so you're like, I really want that game, but I can't get a hold of the disc that I really want, the disc drive that I want. And so I have to buy digital if I want, which means I'm stuck into Sony's ecosystem because I'm not allowed to go purchase digital codes from anywhere else and import it into my system or things like that. So, and we all know Sony's sales are not always the best. I mean, they do put on sales, but they're not as good as if I were to go to some other site and get get codes for games and things like that. So there is that. That would be really horrible if Sony decide if they're doing exactly what you say, Nick, where they're going to be like $500 for the diskless or $550 for the diskless and charge you like $100 for a damn Blu-ray drive. Come on, guys, you could buy a whole Blu-ray player for cheaper than that. And you're telling me that they can't put it in a form factor in a USB for $50? I mean, you don't need an OS to run it. You don't need anything because it's designed to hook directly into your PlayStation, which drives it and controls it. But I wouldn't put it past Sony to basically say, here's this new $500 diskless console, and if you want the disc, it's going to be an extra $150. I'd be like, wow, that's bad. I do see digital as the wave of the future to some extent, but I am anti-digital for Sony, and I'm anti-digital for my Switch. It's just not feasible to me. I am all in on the digital on Xbox for basically one reason and one reason only, and that's the family plan or the family game share. Because I do buy some games, and my second person on my account gets the benefit of that, and then when they buy a game, I get the benefit of that. If I probably was not doing that, would I might buy more discs, but I definitely do not participate in PlayStation's digital marketplace because of their monopoly on that. And I don't know how that's not gotten, there's a lawsuit that was thrown out earlier in the US over that. And now there's another one out there. I can't remember if it was in Australia or the UK. I think it was the UK. That's basically complaining about their ecosystem that nobody can get into, Jim Ryan's pissing and moaning about Microsoft probably pulling away Call of Duty. But yet he's pulled away game sales from everybody but his own ecosystem. So we all need to point the finger that direction and say, yeah, that's not going to fly. But that's just my opinion on that. But yeah, I don't know. Sony is notoriously a little bit worse than Microsoft is about putting out a different console every time you change underwear. I mean, how many different PlayStation versions are there? Piano, Slim, this, that, this and that, and this and that. And you're like, okay, do I need all that? But whatever, that's their prerogative. So this will just be another one of those renditions in the middle of the product line, because it's not going to be like a PS5 Pro. Maybe they'll call it a PS5 Slim, or who knows what they're going to call it. The PS5 Slim D or something. I don't know. D Slim, whatever they're going to call it. I think it's a gimmick because it's not going to be a $400 console. We all know it's not going to be $400 when it hits the market without a disc. Sony's just not that type of game player. They're going to be like, new version, no difference. Just doesn't come with the disc anymore. $500. That's our only version. The D chassis, $500 flat. You want that disc drive? Well, pay me more.
Yeah, I don't have no doubts that they wouldn't do that. And that's why when this article first came up, it's just straight up angered me because I know what they've been doing. I mean, Jim Ryan is destroying the company, in my opinion. They may be making profit now, but it's going to hurt them in the long run. I don't think even the biggest Sony fanboys are going to tolerate it too much longer. I mean, Microsoft got their butts handed to them because of anti-consumer stuff. DRM was a big thing when the Xbox One was announced. What's Jack Wagon's name, Nick? That was in charge back in the day.
It was Don Matrick.
Don Matrick, yeah. So that that dirtwad, he was pushing all sorts of junk consumers didn't want. Xbox fans did not want. He forced the Kinect issue. And don't get me wrong, I like the Kinect as a separate entity. I did not have to purchase if I didn't want it. DRM, had to always be online. And one consumer, and I won't forget it because it just really made me mad, said, well, what about, if you're not able to be online, like if you're in the Navy, you're on a boat. And his reaction was, well, there's a 360 out there. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, that, and it kicked their butts because of that. Sony has the most diehard fans, and I give them credit. They stick with their team. But come on, guys, you have got to learn to, pull out a little bit because Sony don't like you. Sony don't give a crap about you. Most of these companies don't, even Microsoft. It's about profit, but Sony's just straight up. They're in charge of the S&M going on right now. And you guys have got to have a safe word for this junk. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. So
Pineapple.
Yeah, I mean, you got to learn to fight back, and you're exactly right. That's what happened during Microsoft's, right? Microsoft had a ton of fans, but once they went in the wrong direction, the fans told them where to stick it, and Microsoft decided, we better right this ship or we're going down, and Sony's headed in that direction. They do have a lot of fans who are very diehard and dedicated, but those fans they're getting screwed. And they're saying, thank you, sir, can I have another? When they should be like, no, they need to be pointing the fingers like they did with Microsoft. Every company's out there to make profit, yes. But we shouldn't, as consumers, be okay to, when a company says, please bend over, we shouldn't be like, yes, sir, thank you. We should be going, no, when they're doing anti-consumer practices, we need to point that out and make sure that they understand that we will not buy their product, whatever that product is. We will not stand for that if that's the direction they're going in, right? And then it's better for us as consumers, right? Otherwise, if a corporation feels like they can step on their consumers and get away with it, they'll continue to do it, and they'll be more and more abrasive with it, as they go, because there's no retaliation, right, for that. So us gamers have to be like, put the brakes on that, because otherwise we're screwed as consumers, as gamers, no matter who it is, no matter if it's Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo.
Yep. When Sony or Microsoft, Nintendo, anybody is doing things like this, cornholing you in the back alley, you don't say, oh, what a lovely tea party. You say, I'm done with you. No more. Vote with your wallet. Tell them this isn't right. This is not going to be tolerated anymore. Sony needs a good life lesson. And that's a good thing to do to them, to get them to stop pulling this. It's for the gamers. It is for the consumer. It's for the fans, that we have got to stop them from doing this. I mean, it's not attacking Sony. It's defending the gamers. It's defending the things you love.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just cash cows for them. We're the cattle. they're milking us as much as they can. And then, some of us are just more willing to go get milk than others, and that's what it is. All right. You guys got anything else you want on this one before we decide if we want diskless or disc version?
No, I'm done.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. Are you interested? Do you got a PlayStation 5 if you wanted one? Do you have one if you wanted one? If you don't have one and you wanted one, are you hopeful this will help you get one? What do you think about this? Are you going to get one if it comes out at $500 for a diskless version and then a $50 or $100 bump to get the disc, or whatever they're going to charge? One console instead of two consoles. You think it's going to help Sony with their manufacturing woes to get things out the door quicker? Let us know what you think. And you made it this far in the video because we're at the end. You might as well like it and subscribe to our channel to help us out so we can keep doing videos like this all the time. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.